The Sunderland way of old is to win a game like we did at Wembley, a big game, and you think all the momentum's with us, and then we follow it up with an absolute stinker and end up losing a game we should have won. And I think back to times like beating Newcastle 1-0 and then losing the next game against Hull City. I think about occasions in the past, we beat Derby 4-1 in the Championship and followed it up with a stinker. So many times in Sunderland's history, we have followed positive results and positive momentum with absolutely stinking performances. And tonight, I've got to be honest, I came into it thinking Sunderland should win away at Accrington Stanley, but Sunderland probably won't win at Accrington Stanley because that's just the Sunderland way. You win a few games, you get excited, and then you get kicked. You get kicked in the head, and you fall back down to earth and remember that you're a Sunderland fan and things don't come that easily. But tonight was different. Accrington Stanley away, and Sunderland from the off looked like they were in reasonable control. We weren't dominant. We weren't, putting ourselves about like we did maybe when we beat Lincoln 4-0 away earlier in the season. But we looked confident, and I felt pretty comfortable pretty much for the first minute that we'd probably come out with a positive result. I can't recall Lee Burge having too much to do throughout the game, and I don't even think our defence necessarily had the best game, but we continually cope and we win their midfield battles, and tonight was an example of that. But the big thing was the half-time substitution from Lee Johnson. It was a positive change. He brought off Jack Diamond, he brought on Ross Stewart, or the Ross, as I'm now going to dub him, and the Ross got himself a goal within 17 minutes of coming on his debut, a looping header, a brilliant cross from Lyndon Gooch on the right, and he loops it, and it looks like it's probably going to go over, and you think, well, the keeper's probably going to catch it, but it doesn't. It sinks into the net. 1-0 Sunderland. And then it was our star striker Charlie Wyke late in the game, 86th minute, a corner from Max Power, who's been absolutely excellent in recent weeks, and Charlie Wyke's just there. And if you give him an inch of space in that box and it's near his head, he's probably going to head it in. And he did that. 2 more headed goals for Sunderland. And it's, the magic carpet ride that we've been building over the last few weeks is continuing to fly up into the air and hopefully take us into the Championship and beyond. Let's go back to the start of the game. Lee Johnson made some bold changes. He did something that I've kind of been calling for him to do for a while, and that's make rotation, change the squad around. We've got quite a strong squad in terms of depth. Tonight he brought in Jake Vogans, who I didn't think had a particularly bad game. Been a little bit worried about him in the past, but I didn't think he did much wrong tonight. He changed the defence around as well. He put 3 at the back. I know we've played 3 at the back and we've played 4 at the back. But tonight you had McLaughlin, Luke O'Nien and Dion Sanderson in the back 3. And that was a bold move as well. The fact we've only got one natural centre back, but he compensates with that by putting 2 players who aren't necessarily comfortable there, but it seems to work pretty well. And overall, to see 5 changes in the team, it was good to see players getting rested. He brought Aidan McGeady off quite early as well, probably because he looked like he might get sent off. He was absolutely fuming. He was fuming throughout the game for some reason. But yeah, he was bold in his team selection. He was bold in his substitutions, and fair play to him. I think this is we're seeing now we've got a manager who's willing to take risks. I don't think Phil Parkinson would have brought a striker on at half time, at 0-0. I think Phil Parkinson would think, well, 0-0's a good result so far away from home, so we'll try and stick to that. But Lee Johnson doesn't. He thinks 0-0 Accrington Stanley isn't good enough. I remember Aidan McGeady saying in an interview that drawing 1-1 away at Accrington Stanley isn't a good result. And it feels like the manager kind of echoes that and saying this isn't good enough for Sunderland Football Club. Just be like, yeah, we'll take a draw away from home in League One, because it's not, we should always be looking for the win. And Lee Johnson, he does that every week without fail, and fair play to him. But I think overall, tonight was again one of them games where Sunderland were fine across the park. They played okay. Nobody had a particularly bad game. Nobody had a particularly excellent game, but it was just the fine moments of quality. Lyndon Gooch's cross for Ross Stewart's header, or the Ross's header, was excellent. That was the bit of quality that Accrington didn't have. And then again, good corner delivery from Max Power, and Charlie Wyke's there with that bit of quality in the air, and beats his marker to it and gets himself a goal. So it's the moments of quality that's coming through for Sunderland right now. And if you remember earlier in the season under Phil Parkinson, we were having them moments of quality, but we were shooting ourselves in the foot with defensive mistakes quite often. And now, under Lee Johnson, it feels like defensive mistakes are becoming less and less frequent for sure. And going forward, we're still getting their moments of quality, which, if you can keep clean sheets, you're going to win games. You're going to pick up points, and that's working a treat at the moment for us. So, talking points from the game. Would Sunderland have won that match if Phil Parkinson or Jack Ross was manager? In my opinion, probably not. I think the way that game was going, it was set up to be a 1-goal game. But I think under Jack Ross and Phil Parkinson, they wouldn't have had the balls to make them positive changes. We saw often with them too that they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't bring on the extra striker. Lee Johnson did it and it paid off. So I don't know if we would have won that game. I think there's been games recently where I've thought under old regimes we wouldn't have necessarily got the points, but Lee Johnson continually shows, an attacking mindset and a creative mindset to not just settle for points. And again, we get one goal. How many times in a Jack Ross did we go 1-0 up and draw 1-1? He goes for the second. He gets the second goal. He doesn't take the foot off the gas. I'm not saying we were bombarding them, after we scored, but we certainly weren't holding back. We were certainly still trying to get a goal, and fair play, we got the second goal, and it was comfortable from there. And you don't have that nervous last 10 minutes where mistakes happen because everyone's panicking, which is often what happened under Jack Ross. Other talking points, we've got injuries, we've got defensive injuries, we all know about them. I think after the game, the manager said that Bailey Wright suffered a little setback. He said that Jordan Jones and Bailey Wright are probably on the same timetable, so a week or two maybe for them. Aidan O'Brien should be back sooner. Tom Flanagan's out for 3 or 4 weeks. So we're going to have to continue, at least for the short term, to play with this makeshift back 4, back 3. But it's fine because they're doing okay. They're doing okay. It's not a huge concern when we're doing all right. Obviously, with a big game though at the weekend against Lincoln, you'd like to see us continue this form. Hopefully, we'll have most of the players back for the Peterborough game in a couple of weeks, because that one's obviously going to be massive for us. The other talking point is, were we as defensively solid as normal? Now, I can't recall Accrington having many chances, so that would suggest we probably were, but I just felt we were a little bit shaky tonight. And I don't want to, this isn't necessarily a criticism. I don't think we were bad defensively. I just didn't think we were as solid as what we've been in previous weeks, but maybe that's just me picking flaws. I'm probably just trying to find a negative talking point just so I'm not so positive and upbeat all the time, because it's weird for me, being a Sunderland fan, to be so upbeat about the team's form. The other question, could the Ross and Charlie Wyke become a new partnership up front? We saw them in the second half for 45 minutes and they were a handful, so we did play more long balls with the two of them on there, but they both generally do well in the air and put themselves about, and we do win the second balls quite a lot because Johnson likes to push them midfield players further forward, and you often see, like Max Power, Josh Scowen and Carl Winchester tonight. I thought all three of them, when they were on, were picking up loose balls all the time and winning battles in the middle of the park. So could it be that having the two up front and being a little bit more direct at times, particularly away from home, could benefit us in the sense that we can really stretch teams? And we've talked since we came at this level that we've never matched teams physically. Well, today we had 2 big strikers up there who were matching Accrington Stanley in the physicality sort of section of the game. And could that be the partnership, or could it be the case of, well, we'll still continue playing with Wyke with maybe more mobile players, but Stewart could be an option when we're going, at places where it's going to be more physical. He's going to be good on defensive corners as well. Something that certainly is going to be interesting to see how it unfolds for Lee Johnson. And what is the promotion picture looking like? Because we just keep picking up points, and we all watched the results come through yesterday. Peterborough obviously won, but Lincoln got beat. We are now 3rd in the table, which means we've leapfrogged Lincoln City now. We seem to be on a bad run. We've got better goal difference than Peterborough. We're 2 points behind them. We played the same amount of games, but obviously we've got them playing a couple of weeks as well. But the goal difference could be important. I think we've got 4 better than them in that department. Hull City are top of the league. They're 5 ahead of us, but we've got 2 games in hand on them. So obviously if we win them 2 games in hand, in theory we go above them. In some ways you'd rather have the points on the board, but at least it's in our hands. But the promotion picture, I feel like Peterborough and Hull are both looking around their shoulders going, that's going to be a pretty unstoppable juggernaut coming at us. We've got to play both of them teams as well. Obviously we've got Lincoln to come, so it's not going to be easy. We've got to play the 3 big teams at the top of the league from now to the end of the season. But I think we're in a good place right now, and they won't want to play us. We are the team that's in form in the league. I think it's us and Burton pretty much at the top of the form table. That they're going to worry about playing us 100%, and it's going to be interesting looking to see how this plays out over the next few weeks. So since drawing against Crewe, I said on a video I did after that, we needed 12 wins from 16, so we played 30 games at that point. We've won 4 in a row since then, so by my maths, 8 wins from our final 12 games of the season. That doesn't sound insurmountable. That would put us on 87 points. You'd be unlucky not to get promoted on 87 points, and that would require Peterborough and Hull to continue picking up points at a very, very, very high rate. So it's far, I think, winning 2-30 a game from now at the end of the season. Can I see Sunderland doing that? I think I can. So we've got a really good chance of getting promoted. And I'd say with form and performances and everything else brought into it, we've probably got, you've probably put us level with Hull and Peterborough to go. It's going to be that tight come the end of the season, and particularly with Peterborough, they've lost 2 of the last 3. You're looking at that saying, you know what, I think we've got the momentum over them. But obviously, it can all change in football. If you lose at the weekend, you can have a downward spiral. And just to close off, we have Lincoln at the weekend. I touched on that. It's a big game. We beat them 4-0 away earlier in the season. We beat them in the semi-final of the Papa John's Trophy. So they'll probably want revenge. They're more than likely going to be up for it. They're going to be very up for it, in fact, because they will remember those games. And Michael Appleton was watching Sunderland at the weekend win the Papa John's Trophy. So they'll have it in their mind that this will be a little bit of a grudge game for them. And we've got to be on our game, because I think they'll probably start fast. It's important that we start fast as well, and try and get the game sort of like we did away at Lincoln earlier season out of sight. Try and get yourself some goals and be comfortable for the rest of the game. So that's it for this one. It's a happy day for Sunderland fans. We win again away at Accrington Stanley. Hopefully the last time we have to go against Accrington Stanley for a while. Thanks for watching today's video. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and please like the video.